this is a Chinese story. Why is it a Chinese story? Because it was made in China. It's one crazy true story. Viewer discretion is advised. One Saturday afternoon in November of 1990, Su Lisha, a 26-year-old kindergarten teacher, sat crying at a train station in the city of Nehe, which is located in northeastern China. Su sat crying at the train station because she just left her husband for good. They fought a lot, but this time it was serious. She just couldn't take him no more. Anyway, before I start the story, let me tell you about Nehe, the city, and why recently it was put in on the map. Nehe is a small city in China with just 70,000 people, but recently, women have been disappearing in Nehe. So Su was sitting there at the train station and thinking to herself, am I in danger? But Su remembered that most of the women that were disappearing were sex workers. And Su wasn't a sex worker, she was a kindergarten teacher. So she thought she might be okay. But still, I would be scared, wouldn't you? But anyway, she sat there crying and the train station was basically vacant. She would see a young, handsome, beautiful-looking man, dressed sharp, coming towards her. So she kept on looking at him. He came all the way up to her and reached in his pocket and was handing her a tissue. She went like this, like in shock. But he was kind of distant, so she felt safe. So she took the tissue and wiped her eyes. This beautiful, young, handsome man asked Su, may I please sit next to you? She looked at him, then said, yeah, that's fine, go right ahead. He sat next to her and he said, dear, why are you crying like this? She cried and told him my whole life is ruined, and she would tell him the whole story. He told her, don't worry, dear, you'll be alright, you just need a fresh start. I'm Jia Wenge, and I'm a director at this company. I could give you a job. Would you like to come to my house and discuss this job opportunity? Once he said that, Su felt a little scared, so she went like this. So he started to get up and was ready to leave. And then Su all of a sudden said, wait! Yes, I would like to come to your house and discuss that job opportunity. They exited the train station and walked outside. As they got near Jia Wenge's home, he would point at a beautiful house and say, that's my place. Right then and there, she felt very safe because the home just looked beautiful. He went up to the house and opened the door and said, after you, my dear. They went in the kitchen and he started making tea, and they were talking about the job. He went to her and gave her her tea and took his tea, and they started drinking. As she was drinking, she kind of felt nauseous, and Jia Wenge would look at her like this, like he did something and he was proud of it. She knew she was poisoned. She looked into the tea and she saw floating things in it. But right before she could say anything, she was out. A couple weeks later, an elderly couple walked into the police station in the city of Nehe and spoke to Officer John. They wanted to report a missing person, but the missing person they were reporting was not Su. Su was never reported. Her husband just assumed that she left him. Anyway, Officer John was not surprised at all because it was December now, and for the past 6 months, 20 women have gone missing. But this is what surprised him. The couple was not reporting a missing woman. They were reporting a missing man, a businessman. Officer John told the couple, we'll take a look into it and update you. But he had a very good feeling that this missing man was related to those missing women. By January 1991, 2 months after Sue went missing and no one reported her, 5 more people would go missing. 2 women and 3 men. The total would be 26 people went missing. In early spring of that year, the police in Nehe formed a task unit and started to investigate these missing people. But there was no information at all. No clues, no bodies. These people were just simply disappearing. By late summer of that year, this story broke all over China. It became a joke. If you don't want to live, go to Nehe. There was something out there making these people disappear. Maybe a serial killer. Anyway, so far 26 people, men and women, were reported missing, not including Sue. She was never reported. If you report her, it will be 27. But anyway, now the story is getting worse and worse because other cities near Nehe, near that train line, started to report people missing. Time out. Like and subscribe. God bless you. Do me right. I wouldn't do you guys wrong, and you know it. Let's go back. Time back in. On October 22nd, 1991, roughly a year after Sue was poisoned by Jia Wenge and more than 30 people missing, police officers 1,700 miles away from the city of Nehe on a train station were just doing random safety checks. The police officer spotted this young, handsome man, but he did something very strange when they looked at him. He went for his bag and went like this, and 2 other people were with him that did the same exact thing. So the police officers stopped all 3 and checked their bags. They had drugs, so they asked for their IDs, and that young, handsome man was Jia Wenge. The police officers took them all in. When questioned, Jia Wenge was hard. He didn't tell them anything. But the other 2, one of them broke and told them, "You see these drugs? They ain't nothing compared to what's in Jia Wenge's house." And they would tell their story. The next day, that officer called the police station in the city of Nehe, and Officer John picked up, and he told him the story. Right away, Officer John knew that had to be connected to the missing people. He rounded up 20 officers and 10 forensic doctors and went straight to Jia Wenge's house. When they got to Jia Wenge's house, it looked beautiful from the outside. But as soon as they entered, they were hit with a horrible smell. It was so bad that they had to step outside and put on face masks to go back in. When they went back in, the smell seemed that it was coming from the basement. When they entered the basement, they would discover this opening in the center of the basement. And at that same time, one of the officers discovered this horrifying tape upstairs that explained everything. But to understand what was going on, you have to go back to when Sue drank that tea at Jia Wenge's house. You see, when Sue had drunk that tea, she didn't die. But she did wake up in a pitch black area with a horrible smell, slimy all over, and dead bodies all over. And she was in shock. She started screaming, "Somebody help me, somebody help me." And she would look up, and she would see that young, handsome man, Jia Wenge, up there. He told her, "Wow, you didn't die?" She said, "Please, get me out of here, help me." And then Jia Wenge came up with an idea. He told her, "If I pull you out of there, would you do anything I tell you to do? She told him, yes, please, just get me out of here. So Jia Wenge would pull her out. A few days later, Sue was right back at that train station, but this time she was alone. She would see a businessman and start flirting with him. She would take him back to Jia Wenge's house. And as soon as they entered the kitchen, Jia Wenge had a wire. He would start choking the man. And when the man went unconscious, both of them would carry him down to the basement. And Jia Wenge would get a camcorder and start recording. That is actually the tape they found upstairs that the police officers found. And then he would tell Sue, you got this. Finish him. And Sue would climb up on that guy and get a knife, and she would stab him! And they killed him. Then both of them would carry that guy and throw him in the pit where the other bodies were. Jia Wenge turned out to be Nehe City's serial killer. He killed 42 people, 24 women, and 18 men, and no one knew about him until that day they were arrested for drugs on October 22nd. The person that confessed about Jia Wenge on October 22nd was no other than Sue herself. No one knows why she turned to be a serial killer, or why didn't she try to escape. I need you guys to leave it in the comments section. What's your opinion on this? Why she never tried to escape, and what made her kill? Anyway, Jia Wenge did not just persuade Sue to kill. He persuaded 3 other people to help him kill, including his ex-wife. The reason why men started getting killed was because of Sue, because before Sue, Jia Wenge was only killing women. On January 24th, 1992, Jia Wenge and his 4 forced accomplices, including Sue, would be executed. Here's a real picture of Jia Wenge's demolished home. I'm Ahmed Monsieur. Thank you guys for watching today's video. Please comment your opinion on this story. And please, like, share, and subscribe. God bless you. I'm out of this joint.